Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another episode of B is for Build. In this episode, we test drive the Jump-A-Con for the first time. We've got a few things to button up, we've got a few things to fabricate and build. It's gonna be a late night, and then tomorrow, we drive. Stay tuned. Before we get down to work, I want to take a second out to thank our sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by SimpliSafe. SimpliSafe is an incredibly effective, reliable home security system that will make sure your home is safe. If you've been feeling worried about safety, but you've been putting off dealing with it, you do not have to wait another minute, because SimpliSafe makes it really easy to secure your home. You just order it online or on the phone, it's delivered straight to your house, and you can set it up yourself in under an hour. I set mine up in this house in under 10 minutes. Although I've set a lot of these up before. Got them everywhere, they're great. And from there, your home is professionally monitored 24/7, and if anything does happen, they will make sure that the police get called. They've got sensors to cover everything you could ever need, from windows to rooms and doors, and a lot of great extra sensors like temperature sensors, HD cameras, freeze sensors, water sensors, everything. And it's really, really easy to use, and you get around-the-clock protection for just 50 cents a day with no contracts required. I personally learned about SimpliSafe a couple years back when we first worked with them, and I've been using their stuff for, I think we're getting close to 3 years now. I have it in my rental house, my new house, the B is for Build shop, the B is for Build house. That's a lot of SimpliSafe, and we are super happy with how well it all works. The setup is super easy. Like I said, it only took us 10 minutes to set up this whole house. It's very reliable. In the 3 years that I've used it, I have never had an issue with any of the devices going bad or anything like that. This is our keypad right here that we have near the door to arm it. You can see like we got a door sensor up here that flashes and lets them know that, hey, the door just opened. We're still in the process of moving into this house, so our base station is on an IKEA chair right now, but it's a good spot. And we've got a bunch of things like our HD camera and other sensors hiding around the house as well, so I can keep this thing monitored. And with all those things, if the monitoring center is alerted to anything, it will call the police for us and make sure that we're protected. So guys, if it's time for you to get some home security, look no further than SimpliSafe. I give it the B is for Build stamp of approval. I've used this stuff forever. I love it, and I think you will too. Head to simplisafe.com/B is for Build to learn more. Huge thanks to SimpliSafe for sponsoring this episode and supporting the channel and all the craziness that we get down to. And speaking of, let's get down to it. All right, getting to work. First thing that we're gonna get started on is the exhaust. It's the next day, guys, and it's the last day, so it's gonna be a really long one. We haven't even driven this thing yet, and then the Mini only has one wheel on it at this point. We have to have both of them done by tomorrow. So this will be interesting. Let's see, Oscar just wrapped up the exhaust. I'm gonna show you that in a second. While he was working on that, we realized we had an engineering problem in our cooling system. So we have our wonderful Mishimoto radiator here, and the overfill goes into an overfill tank. And the overfill tank can live below this if it's just this system. That's not a problem. The problem is we tried to also tie into a steam line that runs down here to where like the engine, and that's kind of an open system. And what that did was that kind of overfilled at the level of the radiator. So once we filled the radiator, it overfilled our catch can. Not good. So we have to make the steam line one system and the overfill in the catch can another system. So we have a bung here. We've got the radiator out of the car, obviously, and we're gonna weld that in right down there, and that'll be for our engine steam line, and then all that stuff will be separate on its own. So Oscar's gonna weld that up, and I'm gonna finish my clutch support bracket.
finished my clutch support bracket. So if you look over here, you can see all the scaffolding and stuff that pedal has. So I tried to kind of emulate a little bit of that. So it stops it from going left, right, up and down, and now it's nice and strong in the thing. Because before it was just bolted in the firewall, and that had a little too much flex from my liking in there. Got the mufflers installed. These are a little larger than kind of what I expected them to be, so hopefully they will be nice and quiet. That's what we're trying to get, the goal we're trying to get, but they are temporary because I don't really love the look. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I'm thinking maybe more of a Corvette style exhaust where we're going to come out here and maybe come out into this area later on. But these were provided by Holley. They're Flowmaster. We got Flowmaster intake filters and pre-filters and Flowmaster exhaust. So I'll put a link in the description to these things. Shout out to them. Thank you very much for the support. So yeah, these hopefully are going to be nice and quiet. That's our goal, and then we're probably going to replace them before the big race day. Other than that, the radiator's obviously back in. Everything is filled up and looking good, so we are ready to do our first heat cycle. What we're going to do is we're going to turn this thing on. We are going to let it idle until it gets up to temperature, and the fans will kick on, and then we'll shut it back down, and hopefully everything goes good while that happens. All right, we're ready to fire up. I made a bunch of changes to the ECU, and I'm not totally familiar with all the software yet, but I think these changes are gonna make it run really well. So, fingers crossed. Car's running really good. We're a little bit low on fuel pressure, so we need to adjust our regulator. The idle is a little bit high. I gotta figure that out. Power steering, I know you guys wouldn't be able to see that from back here, but the second I turned the wheel, it just went. It went like crazy, pulled it away from me and just completely kicked it to the side. I have no idea what would have done that.
Air in the system, maybe?
Why would air in the system take it away from me though? That was strange. We hit up our friend slash the guy who engineered the suspension of this car, Sam, over at semdirt.com, and asked him, I said, hey, have you ever had this happen where it just yanks the steering wheel and goes to the wrong side? He said, yeah, that's what happens when you have the lines backwards. So the servo for the power steering has a left and a right line, and we put those to like vehicle left and right because the rack is unlabeled, which is kind of silly. And it turns out that they need to be like kind of counterintuitive. Snip, snap, snip. So we're gonna fix them up right now, and then it should be a lot safer. It's not gonna rip my arm off. Alright guys, we've been building this car for 6 months, 7 months, longest build that we've ever done. It's finally time to drive it for the first time. There's a couple big what ifs. Does the clutch work? Does the transaxle work? We're gonna find out. We heat cycled the engine, that's good. Our idle is a little bit high, we'll fine tune that out later. Overall, it looks pretty good. I've got insurance on this thing. I've got a trip permit, so I can legally drive it on the streets, as long as it doesn't get dark, because we don't have headlights. Well, we don't have taillights, so I can't legally drive it on the streets, but I'm going to anyways. So, let's get it out on the streets for the first time. Here we are at the very sunny and very new BS for Build testing grounds. Really impressive parking lot that we have commandeered. I'm gonna test out everything I possibly can in this small little parking lot. There's a lot of weird noises just from my one drive down the street. There's a lot of weird noises and stuff like that. So the guys are gonna watch. Obviously you guys are gonna watch. I'll try and narrate anything if I can. Let's do it.
What kind of weird noises are you hearing?
It sounds like tires are rubbing, but there's just no real possibility for that to be happening. So
just bushings?
I don't know.
Sounds?
We'll find out. You guys will just let me know.
Alrighty.
You know the signal for stop, right? I drove 5 feet and we found the first sound. Our brake caliper bolts are too long right here. They're really extremely hard to show you guys, but they're right here where my finger is, and they're too long and they're hitting the rotor, and you can see it's just scraping like hell. I was wondering what that sound was, so we gotta fix it quickly. All right, we put some washers behind the bolts, so it kind of essentially made them shorter. It looks like it's gonna solve the problem. It's back on the, I would say back on the road again, but back on the parking lot again.
was a decent test, but the camera's memory card is full, so we got to go get another one of those. Should we go get some Carl's Jr.?
Yeah.
All right, safety first. Let's just drive an untested race car on the street. Can I get a number 8 and a number 4, please? No drink for that one. I don't have cup holders. Thank you.
We can give you a key carrier.
There's not going to be space. You'll see when we pull around. Thank you for the offer.
No problem.
Sorry about the noise. Thank you. All right, the Carl's Jr. memes were great, but as the coolant lines get hot and heated up, we sprung one. We didn't think we would need hose clamps on there. We learned our lesson there. So we're at about half coolant level, and sun's going down, and we don't have taillights on this thing, so we gotta race it back to the shop. Fingers crossed we make it there.
I'll go with Kyle. I'll take.
Why? No one's going with me.
Because his Coke's in here.
Seriously, it is.
His Coke with no straw.
Yeah, he bailed on me for a Coke with no straw. Here. Sorry, Oscar. That drive back to the shop was incredible. We are now in the empty shop, which is a rare sight to see for sure. It's always a weird feeling. There's still a lot to go on this build though. I mean, yeah, anyways, our first race is tomorrow. It's 10 o'clock. We're gonna build the Mini and then we're gonna go racing tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for watching. Oh, funny story. So as I drove around, there's a police station right next door to us. I drove around the corner and the two cops just like rubbernecked and then just let us go. They did not even jump in their cars or do anything. So that was pretty cool. That drive, like the feeling of working on something for so long, and although, I mean, small issues did arise, but for the most part, when I'm just like flooring it and rolling down the street, it feels so incredible. So I'm so excited, and I can't wait to see how we do it at the race. Here comes the Mini. It's time to get started on the next thing. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode when we race this thing. Peace!